Most of us remember Jan Smithers as the smart, shy Bailey Quarters on WKRP in Cincinnati. She was the balance to Lonnie Anderson's Jennifer Marlowe, and for many of us, she was one of the most relatable, authentic characters on the show. But here's a bit of WKRP trivia that most folks don't know. Before she stepped into that radio station, Jan had her own brief moment in the limelight in the music world. You see, in the early 1970s, Jan was part of a band called Hot Cup of Friends. If you haven't heard of that band, don't feel too bad. The aspiring group consisted of Jan, her boyfriend Chris Mancini, as well as a feller named Tony Selvage, who played a mean violin. Anyway, like I said, it's a part of her life that isn't remembered by many, but thanks to the internet and YouTube, we can actually watch it happen. More on that in just a moment. Regarding Jan's boyfriend, Chris Mancini, if that last name sounds familiar, it should. Chris is the son of Henry Mancini, the famous composer who wrote the Pink Panther theme and Moon River from Breakfast at Tiffany's. Jan and Chris formed Hot Cup of Friends together and shared singing duties. They didn't play in their garages, though. That's not where they practiced. Because of the Mancini connection, the group managed to get a spot on one of the biggest music shows back then. And on April 20th, 1973, Hot Cup of Friends made their network television debut on NBC's The Midnight Special. The specific episode that Hot Cup of Friends appeared on was hosted by Doc Severinsen and featured popular acts like Jerry Butler and Dobie Gray. What makes the video so special is the introduction. Henry Mancini was a guest on the show that night, and he took a moment to introduce the band himself. You can see fatherly pride in his eyes as he tells the audience that this is his son's network debut. He then turns his attention to Jan, and he mentions that there's a lovely young lady in the group and jokes that his son knows how to pick 'em. He sure did. The band performed an original song by Chris called Indian Warrior. Truthfully, the song really isn't my cup of tea, but I will admit that it is a tune that fits right in with that folk rock music that was so popular at the time. During their performance, Jan stands next to Chris right at the front of the stage, looking like a true 70s musician. Even though I'm not a huge fan of their music, what is clear to me is that Jan was something special. The band didn't last all that long. As far as I can tell, they never even released an album. That's probably because Jan was a pretty darn busy lady. She had already done some modeling work, including a pretty darn famous Newsweek cover as a teenager, and acting eventually took over for her. A year after the band appeared on TV, she landed a role in the movie Where the Lilies Bloom. And a few years later, she found her place at WKRP. You can check out Jan's performance right here on YouTube. I'll post a link in the description section of this video. Enjoy.
You are special.
You didn't have to do it, but you did. So thank you very much for your support, for your support, for your support. Thank you very much for your support.
Click on that thumbnail cause it's time to go. Dave's got the classics, let the memories flow. TV shows and movies that we all hold so dear. On his YouTube channel he's keeping memories near. Dave Sundstrom, bringing back the good stuff, oh yeah.